quality of this merino is exceptional.
Yes, the yield from the shearing team was impressive this season.
Have you ever worn a merino wool sweater that felt as smooth as silk?
And wondered where it came from? Why is merino wool so popular?
Even though it's produced all the way in distant Australia.
Australian lamb is also making its way onto American menus. But what sets it apart?
And why is it Australia, not the US or Europe, has become one of the world's leading producers of both wool and lamb? Of both wool and lamb.
And at the end of this video, you'll see why one part of this process once sparked global controversy, yet it's still
In the raising of millions of sheep.
Across the sun-scorched, arid plains of Australia.
Lesson 1. More than 70 million sheep roam the land.
They're not confined, but freely grazed across millions of hectares of open pasture. But the real wonder isn't just in the numbers. They're monitored by drones.
the lambs are tagged with electronic IDs, ensuring traceability from the farm gate to the consumer.
And produce wool that ends up in luxury fashion brands around the world.
From New York to Tokyo.
But what's really happening behind that soft, luxurious wool?
How vast is the farming process behind it? And why is this model now being seen as the blueprint for sustainable agriculture in the 21st century?
Let's explore how Australians raise millions of sheep. And how they've turned a humble animal into a global symbol of quality, purity, and economic value.
Australian lamb is prized for its tenderness. Here we see the chops searing beautifully over the coals, locking in that rich flavour.
This story begins in 1797, when the first merino sheep were brought from Europe to the southern regions of Australia.
No one expected that a breed of sheep accustomed to temperate grasslands would adapt so remarkably to the red
and harsh climate of the southern hemisphere. Since then, the sheep industry has exploded.
By the 1900s, Australia was home to over 170 million sheep.
That's more than 30 times the current sheep production in the US. Today, even though that number has dropped to...
At 5 a.m. in a small town in New South Wales, Tom, a third-generation farmer, starts his day with
By late afternoon, the farm and his dogs gently herd the flock back to the pen. No shouting.
In Australia, herding dogs like border collies and kelpies aren't just pets. They're AI assistants.
And overhead, drones circle above to spot any strays, a technology money farmers now rely on to manage
Mortality. That's why Tom, like many Australian farmers, uses a technique called rotational grazing. They divide the land into from May to September. Thousands of animals are brought closer to the station and managed under a strict, pre-arranged plan.
During this period, farmers and their teams conduct health checks on each ewe, carefully selecting breeding stock.
Right after birth, each lamb in Australia is fitted with an electronic identification device, or EID.
In addition, lambs are marked with food-grade paint on their backs to indicate age group, health status, or breed.
It's all part of a process called lamb marking, a crucial step in managing the flock effectively from the very first weeks of life.
Keep them tight on the left there. All right, pushing the last mob through now.
Newborn lambs are raised in warm nursery pens, kept between 64 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
With clean bedding and attentive care.
Thanks to this, survival rates exceed 90%, compared to just 25% if left entirely to nature.
In the first 6 weeks of life, lambs receive vaccinations against several common diseases.
Some controversial practices like tail docking using rubber rings are still widely used, but it's not about cutting costs or boosting productivity.
It's to prevent fly strike, a fly-borne condition that can cause severe infections and even death.
In 2022 alone, the Australian sheep industry lost over $173 million due to fly strike. Due to fly strike.
Tail docking remains a controversial practice.
But it has been proven to be the most effective method for preventing this devastating condition.
For male lambs, farmers use a small rubber ring to castrate them by placing it at the base of the scrotum.
But why castrate male sheep? And is it really necessary? In reality, if left uncastrated, male sheep often exhibit aggressive, competitive behavior.
They'll fight for mates, injure each other, and can even damage fences or equipment in the process.
Around the second or third week, lambs start getting introduced to hay.
And finally ground grains while still nursing regularly.
Once they reach around roughly 26 to 33 pounds,
they're fully weaned and transition to an independent diet of pasture, grains, and added minerals to support rapid growth and strong immunity.
After their time in nursery pens, the young lambs are released to pasture alongside their mothers to gradually acclimate to the natural environment.
before heading out to pasture.
Each lamb is given an oral deworming treatment using a dosing tool called a drench gun. The farmer simply holds.
This is a crucial step to protect against internal parasites. Point supporting healthy growth and better wool quality. Between 3 and 9 months of age, lambs begin their real growth stage, free to roam and run across vast open pastures.
At this stage, each one must learn to adapt to the natural elements.
from scorching midday sun to sudden downpours.
But this is also when their bodies grow the fastest. Muscles develop, bones strengthen. And for merino sheep, that first thick, fine fleece begins to take shape. And just like American farmers tending their apple orchards in New England, Australians raise their sheep with strategy and data.
Australian sheep stations are immense operations, requiring careful coordination to manage thousands of head for wool and lamb production.
Grazing areas are planned, nutritional history is tracked, and movement schedules are adjusted, all carried out like a tightly run machine.
After a long day of roaming, the flock returns to a resting area,
lined up with dry straw and fresh water.
This is when they recharge for their next day.
And it's also the time farmers do a quick health check, watching for any sheep that lag behind.
For Australians, sheep farming is a meticulous process because every step taken today determines the quality of wool and meat tomorrow.
What you're truly experiencing isn't just warmth or flavour.
For sheep raised for wool, their first shearing happens to be around 6 to 8 months of age.
A milestone that marks their transition into adulthood.
It may sound simple, but in reality, shearing is a precise process, almost an art form.
Each merino sheep produces around 9 to 11 pounds of wool per year.
Enough to make 5 to 6 high-end sweaters.
Shearers are often highly skilled professionals, capable of handling 200 to 300 sheep a day.
They follow a precise sequence of cuts, starting from the belly, then moving to the chest, back, and sides.
All done carefully to keep the fleece intact in one clean piece without tearing.
You might picture a Japanese chef slicing sashimi, each cut made with precision, care, and finesse. That's exactly what it's like here too.
Right after shearing, the process of sorting and classifying the wool begins.
The workers gently release the sheep back onto the pasture,
where they can return to their natural, stress-free lives.
The freshly shorn wool is sorted right on the spot.
the silky, fine fleece from the back is kept for high-end products.
While the coarser wool from the belly is set aside for rugs, blankets, or industrial use.
Once graded, the fleece is compressed into bales using this hydraulic press, ensuring the quality of the Australian wool is maintained for market.
After sorting, the wool is baled and transported to processing facilities, where it undergoes a series of steps.
It's washed in hot water to remove lanolin, or wool grease, then dried, pressed, and packaged according to export standards. Since then, Australia's ultra-fine merino wool sets off for destinations around the world, and the US is one of its biggest markets.
But not all sheep are raised for wool only. Breeds like Dorper and Suffolk, which don't grow curly fleece, are bred specifically for meat. And the process of raising sheep meat is just as meticulous.
It's known. Meat sheep are typically sent to market between 5 and 9 months of age,
Once they reach a weight of around 100 to...
Before slaughtering, sheep are quarantined for 5 to 7 days for health inspection and spend the night in calm, quiet holding pens to reduce stress. Each cut of meat is tagged with a traceability code, providing detailed information on the sheep's origin and farming conditions.
Today, Australia exports around 400,000 tons of lamb each year, with a significant portion landing in restaurants and supermarkets across the US.
So the next time you order lamb chops off a restaurant menu, or slip on a lightweight merino sweater during the Colorado winter,
remember that behind it lies a vast farming system.
Spread across the sun-baked arid fields halfway around the world. Every day, Australian farmers rise at 5 a.m., quietly walking across the pastures to ensure each sheep is well fed.
From the silky soft merino wool to the sizzling tray of lamb on your dinner table, what you're truly experiencing isn't just warmth or flavor.